Hello, my friends. So a few weeks ago, myself and Kylene Dean, an agent on our team, we did a live stream where we talked about the pros and cons of active adult living in St. Johns County, Florida. And believe it or not, we actually did get some negative feedback. In fact, we got this comment. All she talks about is Nocatee, Nocatee, Nocatee. What about other 55 plus communities? She is completely paid off. Well, she isn't paid off. We don't take any money from the developers. However, I do understand this person's point. We did talk a disproportionately large amount of the video about Nocatee, or the 355 plus communities in Nocatee. So this video is meant to show some love to some of those other 55 plus or active adult communities that are currently available both as new construction and as resales here in St. Johns County. So if you watch this video to the end, I will have gone through almost every 55 plus or active adult option that you have, and I'm going to talk about these communities and give you the pros and cons. At the, my thoughts from having been in all these communities and having sold in most of them, so I can kind of, give you what I hear, which will help you who probably doesn't live in St. Johns County but is considering relocating here. At the very end of the video, I'm going to go through a few communities that my team and I do not help buyers with, and I'll explain why we don't help buyers in those communities. So without further ado, let's jump in. Okay, so the first community that we're going to talk about is Watersong at Rivertown. Watersong at Rivertown is very similar to one of the 55 plus communities in Nocatee. What do I mean by that? Well, in all of the 55 plus communities in Nocatee, residents have the option of either using their own amenities or using the Nocatee amenities. And the same thing in Watersong at Rivertown. So if, let's say you live there and your grandchildren came to visit, well, you may or may not want to take them to the Watersong amenities, but you probably would want to take them to the Rivertown amenities where there's going to be lots of kids. Probably just go better, and it's more designed for kids, more laid out that way. So you have the option of going to either sets of amenities depending on what you're doing or who you're bringing with you. If you're interested in Watersong, and by the way, one thing we're not going to talk about this video is the prices of the homes in these communities. The reason we don't is that it changes. I could talk about this. You can watch this video in 2 years, and the information is not going to be the same anymore. However, there are links down below where you can actually search for homes. I have links for each community that we're going to talk about. And you can actually search, see what's available, what has recently sold, kind of give you an idea, what the community's like, the feel of it, that sort of thing. We do have those links down below, so definitely check those out. But in any case, back to Watersong, it's a gated community within the larger master plan community of Rivertown. You have single family homes and villas. What's a villa? Well, they'll beat me up for saying it over at Madame, which Madame is the builder who's building. Madame didn't start Rivertown. It was a regular master plan community. They were selling lots off the individual builders like they normally do. And then at some point when the 08 recession and all that stuff, somewhere around there, it kind of went defunct. And then Madame, who's a large, actually international builder, came in, bought up all the remaining lots, took over the whole master plan community. And then now they're parsing it out. There's a few things that they don't build, like some of the luxury sections, but the regular in Rivertown, the majority of it, they are building. And Watersong is not an exception to that. So Madame is the builder in Watersong. It is a gated community, and it has single families and villas. And again, I didn't get to my point. What's a villa? A villa, the best way to describe it is like a duplex. They'll beat me up for saying that, but it's like a duplex, but you only own half of it. Now, in Watersong, the yard maintenance is not currently included with the HOA fees unless you live in a villa. So if you live in a villa, yes, they'll mow the grass and they'll do all that kind of stuff. But in the single family homes in Watersong, they don't. So any questions about Watersong, throw them down below. If not, let's move on to the next one. The next community that's active adult in St. Johns County we're going to talk about is a very unique one, and that's called Stillwater. Stillwater there's only about 35, at the time this video is being made, there's only about 35% of the community left to be sold. The builder, the only builder in Stillwater, is Lenar Homes. And they have everything from single family homes and attached villa homes. What makes this community unique though is the membership in the golf course. Every single homeowner in this community is a member of the golf course. So the country club, golf course, however you want to word that. So if you're not into golf and if you're not into country club living, this probably is not a great community for you. Now that is my opinion. You could still live there, but you will be a member of the country club or the golf course if you move there. The golf course is actually set to open this month, and so towards the end of the month is going to be the grand opening, and I actually just got an invite to it, so I'm gonna go check that out, and if it looks cool, I'll take some photos and videos, and I'll bring them back to you. But yeah, so Stillwater has both single-family homes and villas. It's gated. Yard maintenance is included with all the homes, so mowing, all that kind of fun stuff. And I have done several videos on this community, so I'm gonna post those links down below. I've toured, I think, all the models, if not all of them, most of them, that they've built in there at some point or another. So if you wanna get a feel for what this community looks like, definitely check out those videos down below. Another nice feature about this community is too, though, the main entrance is off of 210, but that traffic gets pretty backed up a lot. So they actually have a second entrance, or like an exit entrance for residents off of Racetrack. So that's pretty nice too. But this community is pretty cool, and it's definitely special because of the country club membership requirement. That was very common in South Florida, but it's not so normal up here. Another community is Palencia, for instance. Now that one is not 55 plus, and there's no large builder still building in there, but there is a country club located in the middle of the community, but the homes and the country club don't necessarily have anything to do with each other. They're just located in the same place. But in Stillwater, you are a member of it if you live there. So let's move on. All right, so next up is Parkland Preserve. Parkland Preserve is built out. There's no more new construction there. Now, when they were building in Parkland Preserve, I did a bunch of videos in that community as well. So I'm gonna post those links down below. I believe they built 4 models, but then they had a 5th model that they would squeeze in if they had a lot that was too narrow, that the 4 models that they already had wouldn't fit in. So you'll see that 5th model occasionally, but by and large, the vast majority of the homes are one of those 4 models. So you can definitely check those out. It has a nice location. It's right off International Golf, and it is just east of I-95. So you have Buc-ee's, Bass Pro Shops, Costco, all your day-to-day shopping. Everything is right there. The community is gated. It has really nice amenities, has a lifestyle director, has all kinds of activities. So if you're worried when you relocate here that you may not know anyone or you may not be able to meet anyone, that would be a great community to look at, because whenever my team and I, whenever we sell homes in there, we'll take the new buyer and we'll go into the amenity center, and we'll just kind of like, hey, meet with the activity director. We just talk about all the different things there are to do. And they just, whether it's salsa dancing or scrapbooking or whatever, they probably have a group for it. So you can just kind of get plugged right in. Another thing to mention too, though, before we move on, is with the 55 plus communities, one of the common worries with those is when people are relocating here, they're worried they're not going to have any friends or they're going to meet anybody, because you've been living wherever it is you live for so long, you kind of worry about meeting people. But the thing to keep in mind is every single member of those communities is moving here from someone else, or did move here from somewhere else. So I don't think meeting people, especially in communities like this with all these activities, is going to be a problem for you. It's up to you to decide that, of course, not me. But I very often run into customers, for instance, actually Parkland Preserve. I sold a woman a house in there not too long ago, and I was eating dinner over at Salsa's, which is a local Mexican restaurant, of course. And she was sitting there with a group of friends that she met in the neighborhood. We chatted for a few minutes. They talked about how much they liked it and whatever, and then we all went on our ways. But my point being is it's not gonna be hard to meet people because everybody's coming here or did come here from somewhere else. So, all right, other thing with Parkland Preserve, it does have a CDD fee, so that is something to factor into your budget. Okay, so just a hair east of Parkland Preserve is Bridgebay at Bannon Lakes. This community is all sold out, it's gated, and it was actually built by Pulte Homes. So if it's a 55 plus community built by Pulte Homes, why doesn't it say Del Webb? Well, the reason is Del Webb is a brand of Pulte Homes. It doesn't matter whether you're moving to Orlando, somewhere in Florida, or Arizona. Del Webb means the same thing. It's 55 plus, built by Pulte, and they're going to have the cruise ship on land type experience. Like anything you could ever want to do is there. They have tons of activities, they have clubs, they have whatever it is, you name it, it's there. Bridgebay at Bannon Lakes doesn't offer those types of amenities, and so therefore they did not have the Del Webb name. Hope that makes sense. And so yeah, so that's why it's called that. However, it is built by Pulte Homes. It's all sold out. It is a gated community. And yeah, it's just, it's not a bad location. So right off International Golf and a little further east from I-95. Okay, next up is one of my favorite communities, and that would be San Salito. So I did a video on San Salito, so you could definitely check that video out below. Just made it a few months ago. And that community is interesting because it's not a master plan community. It's an all ages community just outside of the city of St. Augustine. Now, why does it matter if it's just outside? Because you pay lower taxes. This community does not have a CDD fee, number one. And then number two, because you're outside of the city of St. Augustine, your tax rate is lower than if you were just a few minutes away inside the city, assuming your home is assessed at the same value. Now, San Salito has great amenities. It is an all ages community. However, there is one gated section. So most of San Salito is not gated, but the one section that is called the Freedom Homes at San Salito. Those homes are 55 plus. Now, residents of the Freedom Homes at San Salito do have access to the San Salito amenities. They also have their own pool, like a small dog park, and just a few other little things. That is only for the 55 plus residents. So they have access to both. And who San Salito, the Freedom Homes, tends to work out for, in fact, I have one customer that did this exactly. Their adult children who have their own kids bought a home in San Salito, and then his mom, we helped her a few years later purchase a home in the Freedom Homes. So they're in the same community. If there's some type of emergency, they can be at each other's homes pretty quickly. However, where she directly lives, there is, it's 55 plus. So she really gets the best of both worlds. And that's not a uncommon arrangement. I have seen that a couple times in that community. So yeah, so that is another one that is a good option for you if you're looking for 55 plus, but you don't necessarily want to be like only 55 plus. In your little area, fine, but you go outside of it, then you have all ages. If that's what you want, then this might be. It's also way more affordable than like a Nocatee or a Rivertown or some of these other ones. Next up is a little closer to the city of St. Augustine. It's going to be the villages of Seloy. This is an interesting one. It's a condo community. However, the condos are not traditional condos where they're stacked on top of each other. I believe most, if not all, in this community it's kind of like a quadplex, but they're like in a square kind of, and each unit has a 2-car garage, and you really don't have that much joining walls with the neighbors, so it should minimize interruptions from your neighbors. Also, all of the units have their own little screened-in patios. Now, some of them, it's a screened-in patio looking out onto a road, which may or may not be an issue because it is a gated community, so it's not like the public's going around. The other side of them are typically on like a preserve or like a forest type view. So it is a great little 55 plus community. It's definitely a less expensive option if you're looking in St. Johns County. All right, the next community that we're gonna talk about, also off of International Golf. This one, however, is just west of I-95, and it's World Golf Village Cascades. This has to be one of the original, if not the first, 55 plus / active adult community in St. Johns County. Yeah, there's a few drawbacks to this community. Number one, because it's older, many of the homes are coming up on large maintenance type items. So like new roofs, stuff like that. Also, the community is very close to I-95, and I've been in a few units. When you go behind the home, the noise is almost deafening because of all the highway noise. They've been saying for years that they're gonna put up some type of wall buffer so you don't hear the noise. I've lived in St. Johns County for over 10 years, and I don't see any plans whatsoever to build that wall. I haven't heard anything like from an actual government agency saying, yes, we're getting ready. And I do track the development in this county, and I haven't seen that one. So maybe they are, but I wouldn't buy a home there assuming they will. The other place where the highway noise becomes a problem is in the amenity center. If you go to the pool, it can be a little loud back there because of all of the noise from the highway close by. So that's definitely something to consider if you're gonna buy in this community. Last but not least, I'm not sure about now, but previously, many of the homes in that community were in a flood zone requiring flood insurance. Now, every home is in a flood zone of some sort, at least in this area, but what you would prefer is get one that starts with an X. So X is an X-ray, or X-ray Sierra, as in XS. That means that, based on FEMA stuff, it is less likely to flood, and if you have a mortgage, you're not required to get flood insurance. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't get flood insurance. I am not saying that. All I'm saying is you're not required to get it if you have a mortgage. Your lender's not going to require it if you have an X or an XS. A lot of the homes, though, in World Golf Village Cascades previously were in flood zone A or AE, which is not the one that you want to be in. That may have changed, but I know for a time that it was. So it's something you definitely want to pay attention to. So anyway, so that is the Cascades. Let's move on. Okay, so the next one we're going to talk about is Reverie. I talked before about Del Webb, and I explained how that is a 55 plus brand for Pulte. Reverie is the same thing, but with Dreamfinders homes. So the first Reverie community was in Trailmark. Trailmark is a master plan community, similar to a Nocatee or a Rivertown. It's much less expensive than Nocatee for sure, and it's further west. It's off of, it's a little bit, it's further west than all of these. It is a great community. Reverie in Trailmark is the 55 plus section of Trailmark. Now, the nice thing with that community is kind of like what we talked about Nocatee and Rivertown. If you buy a home there, you do have access to the Trailmark amenities. So if for some reason you decide you don't want to use your Reverie amenities, you can go over and use a Trailmark, or you have your grandkids with you or something like that. So that's the great thing with that. They're also still, and now they've been building, and I did a ton of videos on Trailmark Reverie. So I will throw those links to those videos down below. I did a bunch of model tours and stuff like that. So I'll put that down there. Now, if you go to Reverie in Silverleaf, that is a new community that they really kicked off not too long ago. I haven't done any videos in there because the last time I checked, it was just, sales office, which is a mobile home, and dirt. So there really wasn't much for me to do. But there is one thing to note about that. Now, Silverleaf is not a CDD community, and that's one of the reasons why people prefer it over some of the other master plan communities. However, if you are a resident in Reverie Silverleaf, you would only have access to the Reverie amenities. You would not have access to the Silverleaf amenities. Now, I've done tours on all those amenities. The center that's currently open, I did a tour of that, I think about a year ago. Throw a link to that down below too. But yeah, if you purchase a home in Reverie Silverleaf, you are not going to have access to the water park and pickleball courts and all that stuff. Now, you'll have your own stuff like that, but you just won't be able to use the Silverleaf one. You just have to use your own. Maybe it matters, maybe it doesn't. One other thing to note though with Reverie, they also have one down in Palm Coast. Now, if you're not familiar with it, Palm Coast is in Flagler County, which is just south of St. John's. And it's not uncommon, whether it's 55 plus or home buyers, if we can't find what you want in the budget you want in St. Johns County, then we tend to go to Flagler County. It's a similar lifestyle. In fact, if anything, some places it's actually preferable because it's what St. Augustine was 10 years ago, much less developed, which to a lot of people, that's a great thing. But if you go down there, so we had a buyer, they called us 55 plus homes. We showed them some stuff in St. Johns County. They weren't finding what they wanted for their budget, so they ended up buying down in the Reverie down in Palm Coast in Flagler County. They got the exact same home, everything that they wanted in the budget that they wanted to be in. So anyway, it's not in St. Johns County, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on it, but just let you know that is an option, and that is something that our team helps people with, and that's typically why we end up there. Okay, so there you go. That is the bulk of the active adult or 55 plus communities that we help our clients with when relocating to Northeast Florida. Now let's talk about some of the ones we don't. Number one on that list would be Coquina Crossing. It is all the way down in Elkton. Elkton is a more rural area in the county. Because of that, you can often get more land when you go down there than you would typically get in a community. It's outside the scope of this video, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. But the community of Coquina Crossing is interesting. It is an age-restricted community. However, it's different in the sense that you don't actually own the land. It is a, oh shoot, they don't call them mobile homes, manufactured homes. It's a manufactured home community, okay? And you buy it, and you can go on Zillow, and they have homes there, but here's the catch. You don't actually own the land that your mobile home is on. You pay monthly rent. Now, the rent from that specific home to the owner varies. So I can't tell you, it's not like a set amount. Like if you have like a whatever size home, it's X, and if you have a home on the lake, it's Y. I can't do that. But over the years, I guess they set different rates. So it just depends. If you're buying a resale called mobile home. If you're buying a resale mobile home in that community, then you're buying it direct from the, you're buying the actual mobile home directly from the owner, but you're not getting the land, which is why my team doesn't work there. We are licensed real estate agents. We are not licensed automobile agents. And basically, some people get upset when I say this, I don't mean any offense by it, but a mobile home has a VIN number just like your car that you drive around in does, and we are not licensed to sell those, so we can't. But yeah, but here's the catch to it though. Like I said, now if you were to go get one of the new ones that hasn't been occupied yet, your rent is gonna be anywhere from $1,098 all the way up to just over $1,300 a month. So let's say the home that you buy costs around $250,000, give or take. That seems to be what I see on Zillow. But your monthly fee, not including any payments you may have for the home itself, just the land, is $1,098 up to just over $1,300. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. If I needed to keep costs down, which that's fine, and I wanted to get a manufactured home, what I would actually do is just go a hair west of there. There's towns like Hastings and places like that. All used to be farm fields, but over the years it kind of converted over and still is. You can get an acre in an area called Flagler Estates for undeveloped, somewhere between $20,000 to $30,000. It's gonna be a hair over an acre, like 1.1. And you could buy a mobile home, clear the parts of the lot that you want cleared. I would imagine you can, we're not mobile home experts, that's not something we specialize in, but I would imagine you could do all of that for much less than if you were to go to Coquina Crossing. And then you actually own the land and you could sell it and you can do all that stuff. You know, there's no risk of you getting kicked off of it at some point. So unless of course you don't pay your mortgage or something or your property taxes. But there you go. Now the second type of age restricted community that we don't really deal with is there are age-restricted rental communities. So if you want to get an apartment and you want to live amongst other people your age, 55 plus, then these rental communities exist. And who I've seen they're popular with is a couple of different types, a couple of different reasons. But for one, if you don't want to own property anymore, like maybe you travel all the time, maybe, you know, whatever the case may be, no, then you don't have to worry about it. You know, you just rent one of their apartments and, you know, you could travel, you can do whatever you want. It's not anything that happens outside those doors is not your problem. It's popular with that. It's also popular with people who their life is in transition. I've noticed where, you know, sometimes we'll help them sell their house, they sell it, then they move into one of those types of communities. And then they can kind of figure out, maybe their adult children are trying to get things together, maybe, you know, there's a whole bunch of maybes. But, you know, they want to sell their house, they want to get it out from under their name, and they want to be free to pick up and go wherever it is life takes them next. That's another decent reason, from what I've seen, for people going in there. And there's others, people can do what they want. But there are lots of the age-restricted apartments popping up all over the place. And yeah, that's something else. It's here, it's in St. Johns County. You could probably find them on a Google search, but it's just not something that our team does. Well, there you go. I hope the person who made the complaint on our YouTube channel was upset about only talking about Nocatee. I hope this video fixes that situation. I hope we're happy now. And yeah, so definitely if you want to learn more about the communities we talked about, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, whatever works best for you. Be more than happy. It'll either be me or one of my agents responding. Also, if you just want to search the homes, you can click on the links down below. We have them to our website. And yeah, it gets updated immediately. It also has lots of search features, so if you want to get very specific and in the weeds, you definitely can. And best of all, if you want to search homes that have recently sold, you can do that as well on there. So if you want to get an idea for what they're actually selling for, not just what they're listed for, you could do that too. There you go. My name is Andrew Michael. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to meeting you in person. Take care.